Kagan Klein was waiting for another individual. I think they maybe thought it was Tony, so that's where we're getting a little strange. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities here. So they were waiting in a red. Hey, let's just focus on what we're going over here. See if it makes sense. So Kagan's there waiting in a red Jeep. So what was the marathon search for? Was that to maybe meet up with Richard Allen right here? I mean, look how close it is. It's only 3/4 of a mile from here to here. Did maybe Richard Allen park on a side street near the marathon and they met there, or right at a car near that area? Then they drive, I think it's 2 miles, right around like this, a really simple little drive, and parked at what was the abandoned CPS building, which is, let me get to there it is, so you can still see it in this picture, April 2017. So they back in, and then let's say Richard Allen then is the individual who gets out of the car, and Kagan gives him the Samsung 5C, I think it was, or whatever it was, something 5, was it 5C? Doesn't sound right to me. But anyways, the Samsung 5 in it. And this guy already has his own weapon, right? So he walks over here, waiting for the 2 girls that Kagan had communicated with. So listen to this. So Kagan Klein, the Anthony Schatz profile, communicated with Libby's phone at 8 in the morning. Oh, S5, there you go. 5C was the Apple. There you go. Yeah, the Samsung S5. All right, thanks. So let's say Kagan gives him, the Klein photography phone. Now, what are you going to use that for? That's the Samsung S5 is the Klein photography phone, the one that was factory reset in Vegas. All right, so keep that in mind. So let's say they get in there and they back in and he hands that to, and Kagan's dad could be the person who's setting this all up for somebody else. He just wants to be able to see the video at some point because he likes that kind of thing. Like when he bashed his own son's head into the toilet and then bit his wife's stomach. And then there's actually comments like they would take pictures of girls' stomachs in some of these the chats on the 194-page document. So Richard Allen then gets out, walks down, just like this. Well, look how crazy this is. There's a path that goes right here, like this, right over onto the end of the Freedom Bridge. Then you walk right down this trail here, walk down here, and then right there is where the girls were dropped off. And there's a bench right here. You can actually see it on here. And maybe you just kind of sat there waiting to see who would show up over here or something. And when the girls got there, they were looking for love. They were like, oh, or Libby was anyways, bringing her friend Abby with her. And so Libby had been communicating with the Anthony Schatz profile in depth, sending photos back and forth, and very, like she really liked the guy, the Anthony Schatz account. See, I think everybody needs to keep that in mind when they go, well, it can't be related. Just think about it like that she was communicating with this person and really liked this person. And they communicated on that very day. So what are the odds that there was another random killer on the same day and that person admits on a phone call by one of the friends later in the day saying, hey, did you hear what happened? He goes, oh my God, what? We were supposed to meet that day. But she never showed up. I mean, come on. Now you're even admitting that you were supposed to meet. So let's see. So that must have been the most unlucky day in the history of the world that Libby was going to a park and a child predator was supposed to meet her, but he wasn't able to meet her because she was killed by a random predator. Does anybody think that is even like remotely possible? I mean, yes, sure, I guess that's 1 in a trillion, right? Like a 1 in a trillion, but you're saying there's a chance. Right. It's just ludicrous. Okay, so I think that Richard Allen is connected to Kagan Klein and possibly Tony Klein. I mean, I think Tony Klein is, we don't really know much, but it's Sounds like he was also using the devices. That's what Kagan said, okay, in the documents. So the girls get here. Libby was so excited to meet this hot guy, probably looked over here and saw this troll bastard sitting on a bench over here, and I was like, God, who the hell's that guy? Jeez, where's the hottie? You know, and they sat around for 20 minutes. Remember how I said there was a 20-minute gap earlier? Well, they got dropped off at 1:37, and then they're lollygagging around, a term my mom would say, around in this area, waiting for the cute Anthony shots. He doesn't show up, so they were saying, well, we got to kill an hour and a half to 2 hours. So then they start walking down over here. They get on the bridge. They take one photograph, Libby does, of the full length of the bridge. I would imagine that was probably at like 2:04 or something like that. And then 2:07 was the photograph taken off of, let's see, 1, 2, right, platform 3 right here, back this direction at 2:07. Then the girls were walking across the bridge. And what we'll do now is we'll do the second. Yeah, there we go, right there. All right. So this is exactly what you'd say, right at that spot, right? So I'll play this again. So that's the full length shot of the bridge right there. The one I just told you about. And Libby stands up. You know, obviously, because he had to be really low to take that shot. And then they get to platform 3, and she gets on the platform and takes another shot back at Abby. And that's the one that was at 2:07. All right, just like that. That's at 2:07. Then they both get on there. Back on, they're just going to go across the bridge. And I think at one point they probably look back. Now, see, I have in the video, he's way back there. Can you guys make that out? A really small character that I put on the screen, but he's already on the bridge, and they're kind of looking back. See, like, oh, whoa, yeah, Jesus, let's go, let's go. You know, because here's this guy, he's really hustling across the bridge, right? And then they're almost about to get to the other side, but this guy's really hustling. She's probably a little bit further back, like over right in there. And then when Abby gets off the end of the bridge, she gets behind Libby. That's a factual piece of information. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's just brutal, really. Just terrible. So she was probably back a little bit further, you know, got off the end of the bridge a little bit prior to what I just showed you. But she was behind Libby, and here's this guy coming. Their hearts are beating really fast. They're just wanting it. Like, can this nightmare end? You know, you're getting really panicky. Here's this guy. We don't know what he's doing. We don't know what he's doing. And, you know, that's what I always tell people. The worst thing is that it never got better after that. It was worse and worse and worse. They were forced to go down the hill right here and then walk across. You know, whether they ran across to get away or they were just forced across via a gun. They probably went like this, down here, and then up, and they were found right around in this area, murdered the next day. Yeah, so it's just absolute nightmare. But I think that this guy, Richard Allen, you know, knew the Klein somehow, or was part of the ring, and was given information about where. So let me just continue on with the theory. All right, so here we go. So at this point, they're taken over here, and then they're killed. And apparently, when Derek got there at 3:14 into the parking lot, the killer was there for at least 20 minutes of the time that Derek was there searching. At least 20 minutes. You know, so we're saying, like, 3:34, he's still around, and the girls were killed by 3:30, they say. And so he's still around. Derek's searching around. And here's the part that none of us know, and we don't really know at all, is that how the killer cleaned themselves off at all. Like, we don't have any idea. Like, did they go in the water? I mean, there's no evidence that we have. Did they go in the water afterwards? They did find the tie-dye shirt in the water right there. So that would have been Libby's shirt was found in the water right there. So did he go into the water and sort of wash himself off? Who knows what he did? We don't have any idea. He could have had under his jacket a bag of some sort that he was able to put the soiled clothing in, and then just sort of walk out with a t-shirt and so forth. We really don't know. Then once he's done, he either goes up like this. I think it's almost certain that he went out through the cemetery, in this theory, the cemetery, and then walks down. So at some point, maybe cuts back to get back on the road, overlapping Derek, who actually had walked down to this area. He went down the 505 trail down here. So this guy just passed him. I mean, Derek's down here, and this guy's over here walking around. Then he goes back to the car parked at the abandoned CPS building over here. And then Richard hands Kagan the Samsung S5. Okay. He hands Richard the Richard hands Kagan the Samsung S5 and gives Kagan the knife. And that's Kagan's responsibility now. So then he drives Richard, let's just say, and drops him back off over in the neighborhood over there. And then Kagan takes off, and he heads all the way back up into Peru over here, maybe going on this there's a different way to go. Like, you would, from over these areas, you can come up like this, and then you go over this bridge, and when he went over the bridge, he threw the knife into the water. All right, he threw the knife, and now you've separated the weapon from the killer by 30-something miles. The car isn't associated with Richard Allen, and it's just sort of a way to separate everything. It actually worked pretty well. The only reason this case is where it is right now, I believe, is because Kagan flipped, and he was arrested, and they leaned on him, and he cut a deal. That's it. And if you remember, the Kleins live right there, so he's on his way home, throws the knife into the river. Now he's got the Samsung phone. See, so I think what I missed saying a minute ago was at the crime scene, and even during the down the hill portion, I think that it's possible that this killer pulled out his phone at some point to film the fear in these girls, and they were walking down on that lower level, down by the creek. He films them going across the creek, and likely maybe even holds the phone up while he kills them, or right after he kills them. They already see the fear. Now they see the girls, and he's killed him, and he filmed it with a Samsung phone. And then he gave the Samsung phone to Kagan, and then, like I just said a minute ago, Kagan throws the knife into the river after dropping off Richard, sort of near the Marathon gas station. Then he takes the Samsung phone home, and maybe his dad gets his jolly, he's looking at the phone, just, loving the video. Who knows? And then, like, a few days later, they head off to Vegas. All right, so let me place. I have some of these other images here. So here's one of the things that was in the 194-page document. So during the time frame where the grooming would have been built up to meeting, it's gone. It's wiped away from your phone, but your other devices are complete. So now it's all starts to stack. The complexity of your Anthony Schatz persona, the cars, influence, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, they're just little clips. Okay, so listen.
Now, we have a source telling us
that
Kagan Klein was brought into this base, and it was
we've been able to confirm that,
which we've confirmed, and there was, it wasn't just him. It was a bit of a hullabaloo. It sounds like a bit of a contingent coming in with him of different law enforcement folks. So
right here.
Can you elaborate on that?
basically people from different agencies is how it was described to us. So not just like a kind of a quiet, let's just drive in situation, but a a number of people.
So what they were told was that Kagan was taken to the Grissom Air Force Base. There's also a prison over there. And he was interviewed by a bunch of, like a ton of different agencies. Right? So doesn't that make you think, okay, this is a much bigger thing here? Well, that's what I think it was about. That's exactly what I think it was about. There's no way in hell, you guys, that Kagan Klein was brought to that base to talk to all those agencies to discuss his case where he communicated with underage girls. There is absolutely no chance in hell that that's what that was about. That's way smaller level stuff, but it was the Dropbox account that led them to go, whoa, and the investigation, it's turning up more and more stuff. Now we got to bring him over here. Let's all start asking him questions, okay? So we got that. Then, after Kagan was taken there.
And our understanding is that this search was indeed related to the Klein matter.
So they go out to the bridge. There's a bridge right over here in Peru, Indiana, that goes over the Wabash River. And they were searching in the river. And this is what they said about that portion, the murder sheet. Here we go.
And that this search had been going on for several days.
All right, so hold on. Play it again.
And our understanding is that this search was indeed related to the Klein matter, and that this search had been going on for several days.
Okay, so the search in the Wabash River was related to the Klein case. Well, I can also tell you, just logically, that they're not searching the Wabash River for something related to Kagan Klein's case that he was arrested for. That doesn't make any sense at all. What person that's about to go to trial is going to say, hey, law enforcement, let me tell you where I threw a hard drive with some porn on. Yeah, it's in the water there. Yeah, go ahead and find that and tack on another 20. Yeah, nobody does that, right? So what Kagan did was he got out. He was taken to that place, and then he communicated with them, and he went out to the bridge and showed them where he put something. He threw something into the water. Possibly. Either he threw something or somebody else he was with threw something off the bridge into the water. They actually had crash reconstruction people out here. Okay? Yeah, that's part of the deal, obviously. So he's cutting a deal. They even admitted, Indiana State Police admitted that they're negotiating with him. And so the only thing that makes sense is that part of the negotiation was that he's still going to have to go on trial for the CSAM material stuff that he did, but they might recommend something they've already dropped 5 of those charges. They might recommend something at a lower range of years and immunity in the Delphi case if he provides them with information that they can verify to be true and it leads to an arrest or something like that, right? So, yeah. There's something that was thrown in the water here, I believe. And they were there for a month, 5 weeks even, I think. And at one point, Carter flew over in a helicopter. Okay? Hey, thanks, PS. Appreciate it. Let me put that in there. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It says, I'm late, I'm donating, I'm out. Storm Chasers. Still part of your usual contributions. Say a prayer. I don't know. Oh, yeah. For people in Texas, Oklahoma, or several towns. We're here now. Return to your regularly scheduled prayer. Yeah. Well, the thing is you wouldn't believe the wind that we were just having. It was pouring and the wind, and that's just crazy.